let's playtest Grit. On the right side, I've got the good guys with Rush, Melody, and Vincent. These should be maybe relatively familiar names and decks to those of you who have seen the other playtests. And then on the left, we have the bad guys. This is Frosk, Ayla, and Besh. Right now, we can see that it's just me playing. I'll be playing against myself on both sides, doing my best to take in both accounts. This is how a lot of playtesting gets done, although it's not spectacular. It works quite well, actually, to feel out some of the cards and the interactions and maybe try and take a second or two to figure out the best move at a given time rather than put somebody in that position to play well. We are using one-piece playmats, so they actually have nothing to do with the game other than the zones are relatively similar to what Grit wants. That's pretty nice. So you can ignore the images if you want, although I think they're pretty awesome playmats. So on the right, we started with Rush to start the game off. The right side is going first with the good guys. Rush is going to start by taking some swings in, I believe, while the left side is going to start with Frosk. These are both pretty powerful guys to put in first, just because they both have a lot of power up front on their basic attacks. So we see that Rush goes in, and very importantly, Rush gets to set up a face down card from the top of the deck whenever he makes a basic attack, and that's really good for basically every single interaction the good guys. So really good start. However, the left side, the whole shtick of the bad guys is that they want to have a tenacity total of 2 or less. That means the total cost of cards in their tenacity is 2 or less, and that's quite hard sometimes. Just in general, if you're not blocking and you're starting the game off with 2 high ones. So Frosk wants to parry pretty early, or take some cards into hand early as well to set up a better turn on the next set. So Rush, super simple, makes a basic attack, swings with Crush as well. Crush and Rush. Crush is a 3-cost attack that deals 7 damage, which is pretty insane given that the threshold is 3 or more to deal a successful hit. But more importantly, gets that face down card into the good guy's Tenacity. So no weapons to start off from the armory, but I think that is going to be the case for the most part with this. I think that's one thing I felt like I should have done differently, was try and find a line earlier in the game for both sides to grab their signature armory items. So on the top left, you can see the 3 cards, and the bottom right, you can see the 3 cards, but I never found a really good opportunity for most of them. So Frosk is going to swing, or going to play a curse. And when Frosk plays a card while the bad guys have a tenacity total of 3 or more, you have to discard a face-up card. And so luckily that was fine, because now Frosk is at a tenacity total of 2 or less, specifically 0. That will make it so his attack is increased by 2 whenever he makes a basic. So that's pretty strong. So he can swing in for 4, and now it's up to the good guys and see if they want to actually take the hit or not. Even still, Frosk has a really amazing card called Infinity Fist that says if your tenacity total is 2 or less, reduce the cost of this card by 2, and then prepare your active hero. So Frosk gets to swing in again, and more importantly, Infinity Fist only costs 2, keeping that tenacity total at 2 or less. So at this point now, it's a matter of, do the good guys want to take the hit or not? And they do end up taking the hit, and the card that came out of the stamina is a Song of Iron, which is a pretty incredible one to get into the tenacity because it costs 4, and it's not really, and enhancements don't usually make it into tenacities without some sort of hoops to jump through, in this case coming from stamina. So now Frosk is at a tenacity total of 2 or less, and at this point we are going to move over to see how much the good guys have to parry for. So momentum gets played, that prevents damage, and then parried for this Acornic Wrath, I believe. Oh no, Root. Oh my gosh, why is this so small on my screen? Bloodrot Bark, which says to discard a face-up card and deal 4 damage and lower armor. So the good guys have to parry and play a defense card because their tenacity total is full. That momentum that got played from hand doesn't go into their tenacity, it gets discarded instead. Really strong tenacity total here on the right side from Melody. There's also a curse in play given from the left side. So Besh brings in a bunch of curses that essentially punish the other player for doing specific actions. In this case, Fatigued punishes the good guys for making basic attacks. Luckily, Melody doesn't really care about that. She doesn't make basic attacks. So she gets to actually use that enhancement for her ability to exhaust it and then flip a card in their Tenacity, dealing a giant 9 or 10 damage attack, which is not something most decks can easily prepare for. So Empty Palm comes out of Tenacity, which is really good when played with Frost. It only deals 3 damage and it costs 3, which is kind of antithetical to everything the bad guys want. However, the affinity is really strong that allows you to draw 3 cards, so it kind of cycles itself. And all the resources it takes to play. However, the bad guys put it into their Tenacity instead of into their hand because right now, Melody, maybe not seen on screen so well, has a pretty large hand, which usually means there's more attacks coming. So although it puts the bad guys over their Tenacity total of 2 that they really want, it's for a defensive purposes rather than making a better next turn for them. At this point, I play the Tambourine because the Tambourine can exhaust enhancements to generate resources and ready enhancements to generate resources. However, the ready effect can only ready songs, so specific enhancements with the song trait. So I wasn't able to re-ready the Fatigue to get rid of it. So a little bit of a misplay, but I think that's not super important because this turn is still quite strong. We're going to start off with a Song of Empathy, which allows us to trigger affinity effects, basically meaning that Melody can activate the affinity effect of the Rage enhancement. Rage costs 1 less when played by a angry or red hero, but Empathy basically bypasses that and says that everybody can take advantage of that. Everyone's treated as a red hero for that card. So Melody was able to play that Rage at a discount by playing the Song of Empathy first. We're going to discard the rest of our hand, go into Vincent. Vincent currently is on his scrappy side, so he gets +1 attack. However, when the good guys, on the right have more face down than face up cards, he'll be able to switch to his other side to change some card effects that they have. On the left side, Besh starts with a Mind Maze. This card's pretty incredible. It costs 0, it draws a card, and then discards the top card of your deck. There's a keyword for that called Berry. So what this does is while Mind Maze is in your Tenacity, all other Tenacity cards get -1 cost. So although there is an Empty Palm and a Blood Rot Bark, which has a Tenacity total of 4 because it costs 1 and 3, the Mind Maze makes the Blood Rot Bark cost 0 and the Empty Palm costs only 2, meaning they're at their Tenacity total of 2 or less. Meaning, Besh's ability is online, which says if your Tenacity total is 2 or less, you can play a curse card from your discard pile exhausted. So I actually missed that here. It's a little bit, actually would change a lot now that I see it here, which is unfortunate for the bad guy's side. That should have come in exhausted, and that's very important because all of the curse cards have an action ability. Because they're played on the opponent's side, the opponent has to find some way to deal with them. Each curse comes with a unique action ability that says exhaust this card as an action on your turn, jump through some hoops to get rid of this card. So I believe Vincent can get rid of both of these here, but we'll see what really happens. So first, Fatigue is going to exhaust, and it says to put 2 cards from your hand face down into your Tenacity, which is actually really good for the good guys. So unfortunate once again for Besh. This seems like a really bad matchup for him. So now we've got 2 in our Tenacity. So that's really, really strong for the good guys. They have a ton of ways to flip cards, but I don't think that Vincent will do it here. He also cares if things are and are not face down. And it actually works really well with this Smash card. So Smash is a 1-cost 4 damage attack, which is overly statted. However, it gets -1 damage for each face-up Tenacity card. So Vincent gets to play this and get rid of the curse, forcing the bad guys to parry with their Empty Palm card, flipping it face down. Then, because there is a Rage and Vincent is on his scrappy side, he has a basic attack value of 4 right now, which is very strong. But I don't think he's going to do that. In fact, he's actually going to exhaust and get rid of that curse that was in play that lowers armor value. So instead, that curse says, as an action, you can exhaust your active hero to discard it. So unfortunately, Vincent didn't get attacks in, but did a little bit of cleanup for the good guys, which is a fine turn. Then Rage and the Song trigger. They both have when you take a rest action triggers. Rage allows you to forces you actually, to put a card from the top of your deck into your Tenacity face down. And then Song of Empathy forces you to either discard itself or discard a card from your Tenacity to keep it going. And so we were able to discard one of the face down cards that we had, and all is well. We're going to re-put out Vincent because all of our heroes are exhausted that are inactive. So we get to ready all of them again, so that way we can go through the lineup one more time. On the left side, we have got Ayla. Ayla is going to start by playing Acornic Wrath. And because we have that enhancement in play, that enhancement allows us Acornic Path of the Acornic Path. I'll have to look at it in a sec. But the enhancement that the bad guys have in play allow them to discard up to 2 face-up Tenacity cards to generate that many resources for a card. And Acornic Wrath is usually a 3-cost card, but with Affinity, meaning that if it's played by a red hero, the cost is reduced by 1. So in reality, we got to discard 2 cards from our Tenacity, lowering us for sure down below a Tenacity total of 2 or less, and then got to play this Acornic Wrath for free, dealing, I believe, is 5 or 6 damage. So really, really strong kind of synergy going on with Ayla's kit here with all the red cards. And then Ayla's ability says that all cards in her Tenacity get -1 cost while she's active, meaning that Acornic Wrath, although it costs 3, a printed value of 3, it's actually only costs 2 while it's in Tenacity while Ayla is out. And while she has a Tenacity total of 2 or less, all of the characters that are active for the bad guys, get +1 basic attack value. So this Ayla's hitting for 4 right now, got to swing in for this Acornic Wrath, and got to also play one of Frost's cards that allows her to prepare to deal damage equal to her basic attack, and then instead of putting it into their Tenacity, like all other attack, defense, and skill cards, you can discard the card to prepare your active hero, allowing Ayla to attack for another 4 damage, and not increasing their Tenacity total above 2. So a lot of cards played in a very specific order to essentially allow Ayla to deal 5 from the attack card, deal 4 from her basic, deal 4 from the Frost's experience card, then discarding that card to ready Ayla to then allow her to attack for 4 again, having a really, really, really good turn there. Ayla is going to rest, and when she rests, everybody is exhausted, so that way now all of them can be ready to use any of them for the next active hero. They're going to go into Besh, and with that, the enhancement should actually be readied, so I'm sure that'll get fixed in just a second here. On the right side, we're going to see a relatively small... Oh gosh, I think I missed it. We're going to see a relatively small ultimate attack. And that Acornic Wrath is a value of 3, which is quite too large for the bad guys. So they're going to parry and then also play a Maze's Embrace, increasing the armor of the active hero by 1 for the rest of the turn because the Tenacity total is 2 or less. I rewind it for a second here, but it's actually the play that needs to be made to prevent the ultimate attack from going through from the good guys. On the right side, things are happening a little too fast for me to keep up with, apparently. On the right side, Vincent got his power-ups out, which allow him to exhaust them to flip a Tenacity card. Those power-ups need to be taken a look at again because there's no real cost. The cost is actually the upside of the card. So I'll have to figure that out in some way, shape, or form, but the power-ups are gonna go through a little change. They essentially allow you to flip a card and flip another card the opposite direction. Then Vincent gets to attack because of the rage, because of the power-ups, and because of his scrappy side ability. He's coming in for a total of 2, 3, 4, 5 damage, I believe. And the bad guys are going to take it. And there's an empty palm flip off the top, and the bad guy side needs to determine, is it better to take this hit and put it into the Tenacity to prevent a second attack, or to put it into hand, assuming there's not going to be another big attack. And unfortunately for the bad guys, there is a Melodious coming out from the good guys side, which allow you to exhaust enhancements to prepare your active hero. So Vincent gets to ready again, and luckily the Rage's ability is only active when it's ready, is just what it says on the card, which makes it so Vincent is only attacking for 4. And so right now, Vincent made the basic attack. I forgot to flip him or to exhaust him. So the bad guys are going to have to take that because they can't actually parry enough for it. And so we see that a Infinity Fist comes off the top, which unfortunately doesn't work super well with Besh because Infinity Fist wants you to deal damage equal to your active hero's basic attack value, and Besh only has a basic attack value of 1. So that's going into their Tenacity. Although at this point, the bad guy's Tenacity total is at 3, Besh has some ways to deal with that with cards in hand. On the right side, we're going to rest, and we're going to go into Rush. And and because the Song of Empathy and the Rage were exhausted, their abilities can't trigger, so their costs don't need to be paid. Rush recycles the deck, drawing up to his hand size, and that will mean that they revealed a stamina card and got an extra card in hand for this next round. On the left side, Besh has to figure out a way to get rid of a card from his Tenacity and wants to somehow play some curses. And I believe this is the turn that I kind of messed up pretty bad. I wish I could have shown the cards a little bit more specifically in my hand at this time for the bad guys, because there are a lot of options here, unfortunately. And I think this turn was kind of the pivotal one for them because the stamina values are getting pretty low, relatively low, and this turn felt pretty meh. So we start with the Path of the Acorn, Acornic Path. I still can't see that name on this on my phone screen. To discard 2 face-up cards from our Tenacity, allowing us to generate 2 resources for any card that we choose, specifically not for a Armory card though. That requires us to consume a card. So I think instead we're going to consume the Infinity Fist or Empty Palm that we got from our stamina in our last one of our last hits, and we're gonna play the Cursed Horn. Unfortunately, the Cursed Horn isn't amazing here. It deals damage equal to the number of enhancements that the enemy has in play. So in this case, that's right. We use the Path of the Acorn to play a curse from our hand, Soul Tether, which gives the enemy active hero -1 hand size and gives us an increased hand size, allowing us to draw more cards and for them to draw less cards. So that's pretty great. And I believe in this case, we also are able to spend 2 resources for that. Yeah, I don't love the Cursed Horn, I think, at the moment. It feels pretty lackluster when I think it should be a more core piece of Besh. So in this case, we have to spend 2 resources to deal 3 damage, just because of the way that we had to play some of the turns a little bit awkwardly. And luckily, that's not enough for the good guys. And Besh kind of takes this weird turn where he doesn't really get too much off done, unfortunately. So Besh unfortunately has to take the sideline here with not having done much, and probably, looking back on it, hurting the bad guys a little bit more. Had Besh just played like 1 or 2 curses, a curse from hand, and then I think it had at this point he had like maybe 1 small attack to do, would have been better in I think every way, but I think I got too greedy. So unfortunately at this point, Frosty is going to come in. He's going to draw his hand size, and due to that drawing, he's going to have to recycle his deck, meaning we're going to see a stamina card turn face up here. And it is a curse that is going to go into our Tenacity because I believe there are only 1 or 2 cards in hand that are defensive, but we want to have something in play to stop those small attacks. And we see Rush on the other side as the active hero with a Rage in play, meaning this Rush is hitting for at least 5 with his first attack. 3 from his basic attack, 1 from his ability that forces them to put the top card of their deck into their Tenacity face down, and then the Rage for another damage. And even worse now, the good guys equip Rush with his Warhammer, which has basically the same ability, identical. Forces on a basic attack, places a card face down into Tenacity from the top of the deck. So here we're going to see Rush on basic attack is going to put a card face down, and then the Warhammer is going to do the same thing, exhaust it and put a card face down for an additional 2 basic attack damage. And on top of that, we got a second Rage card in play, meaning we're getting another 2 damage. So this is going to be 3 from Rush, 1 from his ability, plus 2 from the Warhammer, plus 2 from Rage is a 6. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage attack. And wait, is that real? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 8 damage attack. Flipping over a defense card though. It's a 0 cost if your tenacity total is 2 or less. Prevent 3 damage, which is pretty incredible. Then we are going to exhaust one of the curses that were given for another Melodious. And because we're able to exhaust everything but the Rage, we're able to keep some of the damage that we have. And we're going to able to swing again with Rush for 3, 4, 5, 6 damage. And does Frosk have a way to deal with this? Yes, a Cornic Wrath prevents 3 damage. And we are going to need to prevent, I believe, 1 more, if I got that right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I should see 1 more of in some way, yeah. We're going to parry with the curse that we put in our stamina, put in our tenacity earlier that came from our stamina. So as long as Rush doesn't have another way to deal damage, but he does because the tenacity is full, and we're going to able to see a 5 damage attack come at Frosk. And I don't think there's any way for the bad guys to prevent that. They have a counterspell, which is a defense card in hand, but it only has value if it's able to be placed in tenacity. And wow, big turn for Rush. Those Melodiouses were pretty powerful. And once again, unfortunately for Besh, having those curses be given was actually kind of like a good thing for the good guys, because they were able to use the face down cards. They were able to use the enhancements for their effects. And the turn that Besh came out for that second time was kind of like the nail in the coffin. I think the game could have been closer had that turn been played a little bit better. But I don't know. Looking back, hindsight is 2020, and I think that having like a 20-ish minute game where the good guys, so the right side, kind of had their moment at the end there, like a culmination of all of the things that happened that game, was pretty sweet. Basically having that tenacity at exactly the right time, having all the cards in it, getting the curse at the end, drawing the second Rage was pivotal. It's crazy, and it was also drawn with Rush, so we got that affinity, even though the Song of Empathy was out. There's just a lot of things that culminated to that, and I think that's what I really love about Grit. It's just like, hey, all these things happened, and here we are at the end. Did you prepare? Did everything line up? And did you fight tooth and nail to make sure everything was as close as it could be? And I just don't think the bad guys had it this time. So thank you so much for watching. This was incredibly fast, just like way too fast. So I clearly need to find some way to slow this down. So if you made it this far, hey, thank you so much. I'm so glad you watched this. Let me know. Let me know if you made it this far. Otherwise, if you didn't make it this far, got him. You got him. So wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is, whatever you're doing, have a great day, night, morning, weekend, work day, whatever it is, wherever it is. And I hope to see you in whatever the next video is. So see ya.